Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I don't understand these kind of things with the pranksters. I don't understand that happening to such a high level. In this case, we have the Polish president pranked by some Russian pranksters into thinking that he's speaking with Emmanuel Macron of France. I really do not know how can you, and not you as an individual, because it's not you who determine who you're talking to and who makes the connections and all that. It is your staff. How your staff is so imbecile in being incapable of figuring out that you're not talking with the President Macron, but you're speaking with some two Russians. Now, there's two options here. One, either these guys are lying and making things up, which they have recordings, they say, right? Or these guys are idiots. What could be the other options? Or, let's say the third one, they know, that's why they make certain claims, knowing that this information is going to come out and in the context. So you can say, yeah, I agree doing this. I will say certain things, and then that's kind of a message, to, how do you call it, confuse, or maybe send a message to everybody else. Like, oh, I didn't know. This is what I really believe. I'm not a bad dude, actually, but they make me be a bad dude. So this article comes from Sputnik, and it's from today, the 22nd of November 2022. And this is what the Polish president says. I do not want war with Russia, end quote. Polish president spills the beans about recent missile incident. Well, who would like a war with Russia? And not only with Russia, who would want war? I mean, war is destruction. Someone who doesn't get hurt wants a war with Russia or wants a war with anybody. Because if you engage in or it's something that really hurts you and you have to fight back, I understand that. Or you have enough force to plunder everybody else. And it's not you who get hurt, it's other people. So even though the United States, NATO and Poland already concluded that the missile that hit Poland, I think there were two, aren't they, was not fired by Russia, the Ukrainian leadership continues to baselessly blame Moscow. Polish President Pres Duda has confessed that he does not want to start a war with Russia over the recent incident involving a missile hitting Poland. I mean, unless you are a crazy person or you are, under NATO's total craziness and you can't, I don't know if those guys, that's not in NATO's advantage to start a hot war with Russia. That's for sure. Let's start with that. Why? Because that would imply that the population will get involved and a lot of destruction. They don't want to do that. And they know that Russians will not have any patience with them with conventional weapons. I'm pretty sure the Russians will say, you know what, we're not going to fight this one like that. Let's get champagne here. And they will bring the champagne, not the new wine, the old wine and the champagne. That's what they're going to do. And the guy's going to say, okay, stop. Because that's a mutual destruction. Why? Because Russia knows they can't fight 40, they're already fighting 40 countries in the way they fight them, they fight it in this proxy war in Ukraine. But imagine that these guys are all in. Anyway, Duda made this admission during a phone conversation with Russian prankster duo Vovan and Lexus, who managed to dupe the Polish president into thinking that he was talking to French President Emmanuel Macron. I think the same guys, I made a video yesterday on Poroshenko. They duped Poroshenko, the previous president of Ukraine, in the same way. And Poroshenko said that, the Minsk agreements were just for me to buy time to have NATO build my military here and turn it into the strongest military force in Eastern Europe. That's what he said, according to these guys again. And I'm quoting, "You think I need war with Russia? No, I do not want that. I do not want a war with Russia, and I'm very careful, trust me, very careful," Duda said, adding that he did not consider invoking Article 5 of the NATO treaty. Now, being careful to do what? To avoid the request from the bosses, be careful to smack, what's his name? I was about to say Saddam Hussein. Zelensky? Well, what? The incident Duda was referring to occurred on November 15th when a missile again, fell on Polish territory and killed 2 local farmers. While initial reports suggested that there were 2 missiles, Polish authorities later confirmed that there was only one. I saw 2 craters or whatever, 2 different ones, but maybe just my eyes are lying to me. And sometimes you hear 2, sometimes you hear 1. Anyway, while a certain media outlet was quick to report citing an unnamed senior US intelligence official as saying that Russian missiles crossed into NATO member Poland, the United States and NATO eventually concluded that the missile was not fired from Russia, while Duda said the missile likely originated from Ukraine. During his conversation with Vovan and Lexus, Duda also pointed out that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to blame Russia for this incident, and I'm quoting. He says, Zelensky, they are completely certain that it was a Russian missile launched by Russians, and he said that it could not have been a Ukrainian missile launch, Duda added. Maybe there's 2 parallel or 3 parallel leadership or points of power, centers of power in Ukraine. Is it possible? One is the military, the other ones are the weasels, and overall it's United States. While Kiev has indeed been quick to blame Russia for this incident, it did not provide any evidence that would back up these claims. Well, I think that because they're good people and the Russians are bad people by default, that's enough evidence that you need to start a war with Russia, and Russia should not use any nuclear weapons because they are bad but not that bad. You know, it's unbelievable when they portray an enemy like all evil, but then you figure out that that all evil has limitations, not limitations, has calculations, and he's restrained himself, or he's not crazy or mad. We say, okay, this guy was mad, he was crazy, but his actions prove that he was very calculated, and he displayed self-restraint on many occasions where he could have done much more damage to the whole situation, but somehow he didn't, or she didn't. You know, it's and that's about many other leaders in the past. Remember, where they're all crazy, they're all evil, but somehow they were just dumb or something, or I don't know, they failed to do this. Why? Because we, normal people, not those evil ones, we could think of methods more efficient to take care of things than those guys were just, I don't know, dumb. It makes no sense. And besides, there were evil minds and genius, but evil genius. Well, then how in the fuck I can think better than a genius how to... Anyway, the same with these guys. The Russians are... Remember, when you watch an article, or read an article, or watch a news, whatever, pundit over there telling you this and that, and they say about the Russians. When the Russians are doing something, first, think of what could be the worst case scenario. What could the most evil human being do in that circumstance? And they will come with exactly that the Russians do. Now, if the Russians, let's say, they enter a city, before they tell you further about what they did, imagine what could they do. And then you say, they will rape children 2 years old and old ladies of 99. They will cut them to limbs. They will cut their genitalia. They will gang rape them. They would burn their graves. They will desecrate their graves. They will destroy their statues, everything. So think of everything that could be the worst possible. Chambers of, hurting people and, all these kind of things. You're going to find it. And they're going to tell you that, exactly that. Why? Because they are like that. And I don't believe that. I know that we can go that low, but it's only one side. The other side, when the other side occupies, does the same thing. No. Not even a hint. No, everything is, they dispense candies and dildos and all that. Everything is just fine, and they're like, really, cut the crap. The same here. You got this Duda that he knows that he can't confront Russia by himself, and he knows that the Russians will not deal with anybody if they go as an alliance against them with conventional weapons. That's what I think. Why? Because I think the Russians are human, aren't they? So what are they going to do? Lose? Because that means losing. They can't possibly fight a conventional war with all these countries, their economies and all that straight. Yeah, they can hurt, obviously, capitals and the Western countries and make the people, rally behind these leaders of theirs that drag them into this. Not make them say, okay, we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. They will say, look, they attacked us. Let's be together, united. And they unite these guys. That's what happens. So they know the Russians will not do that. Probably, I'm just giving it, I don't know, some 90-95%, the Russians will not continue a conventional war. And why would they want? I mean, there's so many risks associated with starting a war with Russia in this context. You don't know what the guy's going to pull out, what kind of gun, what kind of ammunition. Why do you want to do it? And you're very close. The United States is very far. I don't talk about Alaska. I'm talking about here, Europe. You're close to this guy, so if you challenge the guy right here, they can send you a few big missiles. All right? I hope they keep their cool. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.